Well, hello. Hello there. Alan here. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to do a laid back kind of fireside chat here. I don't do a regular monthly TBR usually, but I'm going to do one now. I find myself being a quite a mood reader this month, and I find myself reading a lot of nonfiction this month. For example, I've read all Carlos Castaneda, and I picked this book up at free in the library box. It's an old favorite of mine. It's the third in the trilogy of A Separate Reality, um, the Teachings of Don Juan, and A Journey to Ixtlan, which is this one, the third one. And the story of young Carlos Castaneda back in the early 60s, before I was born even. I've been reading this book since junior high school, so at least my third read. It's all about Jimson weed, which I've never tried. It's about peyote, the medicine, which I did do under a tribal chairman's guidance at Havasupai, the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And it's about psilocybin mushrooms. But it's more than that. It's definitely more than that. And these are like journal entries. Saturday, August 19th, 1961. Yesterday morning, Don Juan and I drove to town and ate breakfast at a restaurant. He advised me not to change my eating habits too drastically. Your body is not used to power meat, he said. You'll get sick if you don't eat your food. He's teaching Don Juan how to see, how to be, how to listen. All these things you do sober. True. The medicine and mushrooms are just enhancements. They're accoutrements to reaching a separate reality. So, in fact, I'll have a review coming out pretty soon on that. And this leads me to another nonfiction book. I picked this up at the library. I think it's in a box in Phoenix coming up, but it's the Portable Carl Jung. I really like Carl Jung. I like his man and his symbols. I like all the archetype stuff. I like his dreaming interpretations and techniques. And he was into tarot too. I read this book last month. It was sent to me from Molly in Toledo in a couple boxes, but she sent me some old tarot books, and it was a joy to read. It got me back into Carl Jung. Which brings me to Tolstoy. If you guys follow my channel, and I know you do, I read War and Peace a few months ago. It took me 5 weeks. I wasn't really trying that hard. Reading it at a leisurely pace. I read 2 translations of it, but I want to read more nonfiction Tolstoy. So I picked this up, and I have an audio book coming too about some more religious talks from Tolstoy. Here's another nonfiction book. My friend Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads turned me onto this book. And it's a big book, and it's all about the hoaxes and after the tragedy of Sandy Hook. All those elementary school children got shot, gunned down, and then people like, I hate to even mention their names, but Alex Jones, and I've known him for a few years through Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan Experience podcast. But he's a major asshat, what he did, and luckily the trial came out and he was sued for millions of dollars, pushing $1 billion, I think. So right on for that. It's a real hard book to get through. I'm almost done with it, but I have to put it down from time to time. I really do. which leads me to some fantasy. Like I said, I'm a mood reader, and I've been wanting to finish this series for a couple years. My friend Tommaso at Tom LA Books turned me on to Gene Wolfe a few years ago, probably like 2 years at least. And this is third and fourth volumes in the New Sun. There's 5 books in all. This is books 3 and 4. Now, you don't read Gene Wolfe. You what? You reread Gene Wolfe. And so I know Tommaso's read it already, and there's a shout out to him if he wants to reread it with me and some other people. If you want to read some Gene Wolfe with me, let me know. I'm just starting that. I finished Fee, my friend Fee, Jeremy Fee's book, Eclectic Nightmares, which I'm going to stick with that vein. Here's a book he edited called Half Human Heroes. Anthology, book 2 anthology. I've read a few stories in here, like Margaret Pinot's story. I was really impressed with it. I like her style and her technique. She used some typography in her story, which I liked. I might borrow someday. Dane Cobain's story in here about rock and roll. There's a small person in it, a midget. Very good. Want to read... I read David Wiley's story in the vein of fantasy battle and war, and I was really rooting for the young hero. His story is The Defense of Burgon. But I'll have a proper review of this coming out this month. So I think that's all. Besides reading, I've been playing guitar and painting and drawing. Here's a self-portrait of me. I recognize it. All right, like, subscribe, make a comment. I'll reply back to you. Sláinte. Cheers.